Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. This is Laura Stewart, Director of Online Channel Events for SaaSMAX, and we're going to get started here in just a moment. People are signing in. It is just at the 4 o'clock hour Eastern Time, the 1 o'clock hour Pacific. We have people from all over the world registered and attending this webinar today, thus the good morning, afternoon, and evening, and also good tomorrow, because several people are already in tomorrow for listening to the webinar. So we want to thank everyone for being here with us today. We have a lot of content to cover today. We're going to be moving pretty fast, but we're really excited. If you have any questions, please post them in the questions box. Just going to give it one more moment, and then we will just dive right into the content. If anybody has any trouble hearing or seeing webinar slides advanced, please post in the chat and let me know. So our agenda for today is what you can expect during this webinar. How it's going to go is we're going to be having a conversation with Clint Gatewood and two of our partners who are really going to talk to you about how they do this every day. Because there is nothing better than finding out how real people, real businesses sell SaaS, transition to SaaS. That's the best thing you can do, is know how other people are doing it. Why reinvent the wheel? That's why partner perspectives are here. Then we'll mention the sponsor of the day. I'll introduce you to the speakers. We'll explain why the topics we're talking about, go right into the webinar, and then you can hear a little bit about SaaSMAX. So some housekeeping. Everyone is on mute. If you have any questions, please post them in the GoToWebinar questions pane, or you can raise your hand, but the best thing to do is type it in the question box or in the chat box if for some reason you can't find your question pane. We're going to present first, and we'll open it all to Q&A. We'll then go through the questions and answers at the end and answer them for everyone to hear. And at the end, please take a moment to take the survey. You'll have access to the recorded event afterwards. We will send an email out to each and every person that is registered. And as I said, hang on, because we're going to go pretty darn fast to get everything in, and it's now time to start learning. So why this webinar series? Best, as I said, it's an education opportunity to learn from your peers. Direct from the horse's mouth, you're going to learn tips and tricks, the things that they did well, the things that they feel they didn't do well, that they could have done better. We're going to talk about all of that, the changing landscape, real-world actionable knowledge on how to adopt, sell, manage, and profit from software as a service SaaS solutions. And now I'm going to turn it over to Clint Gatewood, who is going to talk about our incredible event sponsor, K9 ERP.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good morrow, wherever you happen to be at today. I'm Clint Gatewood, Vice President of Channels here at SaaSMAX, and our event sponsor today is K9 ERP. It's a full financial package. It's a software as a service. It's a full financial package. It has inventory control, built-in POS, barcoding, warehouse management, customer report generator, workflow management. It's a fantastic application. We're doing very, very well with our partners currently with it. We just picked it up a month and a half ago and finally started to take it to market, and most every reseller I've introduced them to, they're signing up and moving forward with it. Part of the advantage that resellers really love is it's actually white labeled. It's your brand. So you can bundle it all into one brand, sell it, really good margins. So take a look at it, give me a call, let us know, and we can get you in touch with them as well. Okay, next slide. So with us today are today's speakers, and I think Anuj made it on. He was joining in. He's from Australia, so it might be a little bit late. He's been trying to log on, having a little bit of issues. Anuj, if you might be on mute, Anuj, but Anuj is one of our great resellers. He's, again, over in Australia from Digital Infinity. And then also Rodney Hall, another great partner here in the United States. And Rodney, do you want to just say hello real quick?
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all attendees. Happy to have you on board, and look forward to a very good conversation and presentation.
Yeah, Rodney's been doing cloud services and software as a service for quite some time, and has picked up many of the products from us as well. So Anuj, if you're on, you're still on mute, so let us know, just pipe in when you get on. Next slide. So some of the topics we're going to cover when in talking with I've talked to a lot of resellers or solution providers, and a lot of questions when it comes to the software as a service world, especially for those that have typically been in the IT channel for a long time, got managed service provider companies and VARs and whatnot, and there's still a lot of question about, what's all the SaaS about when it comes to, how do I get involved with it? How does it fit my business model? How can I run a conjunction beside my other business models? How do I choose a good vendor? What's your value with the end client? Believe it or not, you're much more critical today in the SaaS world than you probably have been at almost any other point in the history of technology today. And how do you do it? So we're not going to cover all these topics today because it's just too broad to cover everything. We're really going to be focusing more on what SaaS has done to the marketplace and what the business model should look like, and really what the value is between you and the end client. So we can move forward from there, Laura. So going to talk about the consumption change, and Anuj is coming on, his volume's not on yet, but this is going to be a great conversation here. But when you look at what SaaS has truly done to the marketplace, it's really one of the big things that's changed is how the consumption works. SaaS has fundamentally changed how the customers and business, consumers and businesses are consuming products, services, software, anything you can think of. It's really changed it. And some of the topics we're going to talk about here, you can see here, but I'd kind of open up maybe to, Anuj a little bit if you wanted to start off. I think you're on now.
Yes, I am. So apologies for the little hiccup in the technology here.
So I get to introduce Anuj. He's become a pretty good friend, and we talk quite a bit. And he's really up on the market. He had an MSP and moved into software as a service. So in the consumption change, Anuj, what have you seen there?
I'm saying it's a natural progression we have seen. The cloud has been talked about from past 5-6 years, and initially only the larger organizations which had a big IT, they understood what the cloud was. But now even the small and medium businesses, where they can see that they can consume a product on a monthly basis and actually investing on a huge capital, that has changed the way of small and medium businesses of how they consume software. There are certain products which they never used to even consume before. CRM is a very good example. Not every small and medium businesses used to have a CRM system. And now you can see, because of the easy accessibility of the products, they are now consuming a lot more software than compared to what previously it was.
Sure. And Rodney, how have you seen this change as you've grown your business?
Well, what I've seen over time is the fact that they're small business, which I'm in most of my customers in the small, medium-sized business space. It always was an issue over ownership of the data and ownership of the environment. And what this particular model does now, in my conversation, when I talk to, is first of all, it shifts from the IT department, or the people who handle the IT side, to the business side of the house, where the conversations are mostly focused on the data. Where is it going? How is it being managed? Where is it being stored? And in the small business space, the comfortability of that is one of the things I emphasize for the most part. The comfortability of the fact that the infrastructure that they're moving towards is safe, it's well protected, it's the ability for the software to be managed properly is handled, so that their core competency can be really focused on, as opposed to worrying about server downtime, desktop downtime, users not managing their computers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure, absolutely. And when you look at the consumption change, it's really a big mind shift in the clients, as we were talking about when we were really all got together here and had a great conversation around that. But it's kind of really enabled, the bring your own device piece, giving you flexible environments and cutting back on the hardware. But that's really been a mind shift that is a great thing, but it also, you got a lot more devices you have to manage, and there's security concerns about that. What have you seen with that, Rodney? How do you handle this?
Well, one of the things I stress to the businesses is more or less look at the, not so much the technology piece, but look more at the information piece, and apply the same decisions that they would make is if they were to choose an accountant or choose a lawyer, and the contracts and agreements that are attached to that. In that way, for a small business person who is used to that and understands that particular way of doing business, the technology piece is easier for them to understand, because they understand that there's laws and there's regulations, things like that, that can apply to this, and how with a SaaS model, a lot of this, the headaches, the infrastructure headaches or issues with that can be relieved by implementing this kind of model. But using the whole fact that, like, being the fact of like a lawyer or accountant, how they conduct business, understanding that information process and how and connect that to the technology piece.
It's not only that, it's also bring the broad efficiencies within the business itself. I still remember when I was a kid and Dad used to run shops, and Dad used to come back home in the evening and write his books, right? Account books. And in today's world, your accounting systems are all connected with your POS systems, and your accounting system is also connected with the accountant. So he gets the latest information straight away, what is happening. And if he has to raise any concerns, he can do that straight away. So those efficiencies have given back that time to the businessman to actually focus on what he does best.
That's correct. Yep.
And Anuj, I mean, when it comes down to who owns the data, because I know from my background, and when the whole managed services thing was starting, and you were doing backup and disaster recovery into the cloud, and you were doing other things, and the cloud was first coming out. This is especially still kind of prevalent with small businesses. Is like, well, who owns the data? Where is my data? And you have some interesting thoughts on how to overcome that.
Yeah. So for me, we have the risk of the data has been always, we all are living that risk in our personal lives. Simple as that, right? Today, everybody has an account with some sort of a web provider for the email services, whether it's Hotmail or whether it's Gmail or anybody else. And we exchange a lot of our critical life important data on that emails. We have never questioned ourselves whether my data is sitting in my own country or whether it is accessible when we want it or not. And so when it comes to your organization, yes, you suddenly become more protective because that's what you hear in the market, right? Now, government being a bit cynical about the data to be there, they have reasons for that, right? Because that data is completely different than the data what we are talking in the business sales data. So they have their reasons for that, but I think so. I haven't seen that data issue much in small and medium businesses in Australia. But yes, large businesses and government organizations, they do have the restrictions on that. And the SaaS providers has been always been open about that the data belongs to the respective company. It has always been very clear in the terms and conditions that data belongs to the respective company.
Sure, absolutely. And when go ahead.
And in addition, what I always stress is I pull up the agreements that that providers provide, and in that in the legal aspects of those agreements, it shows to any business owner that this data is theirs, and what happens if this situation happens or that situation happens. So for a small business, it gives them comfortability that they have a legal backing with the signing of the agreement that any data that's in that environment is theirs, is owned by them, and all the provider is doing is making sure that they have access to the data when they need it.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead, Rodney. Anuj?
No. That's exactly right. And in fact, I would probably only say one thing more, that previously the type of benefits that respective small or medium business didn't have of backing up the data regularly, having a redundancy, having a DR recovery, which are the things which you only hear in a larger organization, not in a smaller organization. Now those benefits are automatically extended as part of this, SaaS coming into the play.
Sure, absolutely. And so when we look at the consumption model and whether or not the clients are ready to ship with those pieces, what does, like the people on the phone here, or folks like yourself, your peers out there, people out there being solution providers or selling SaaS, how do you make a mindset change yourself, and then how do you shift your clients? How do you get them into it?
Well, for myself, it was, I generally tell a story, when I started the business 3 years back, I said, if I would have started this business around 10 years back, what would be my capital investment, right? Versus what I started 3 years back. So immediately you have a graph there which says your IT capital investment would have been probably these many thousands of dollars, right? Now, in the 3 years back, I had only this much of investment and I was still more efficient. I had more tools to make myself efficient with a lower cost, and I could invest that capital back into the business to grow my business. That is the financial aspect of the complete, that because you're paying on a monthly basis, it's not a huge capital investment of buying the stuff straight up front. You can release that capital towards your own business.
Sure.
Well, in my case, what I do is I actually, after evaluating the customer's business and getting an idea of what the business process and workflow is all about, I've always made it a habit with myself, using my own technology, to speaking to, for example, the C-level owners of the business, things of that sort, without any pen and paper based technology, or if you want to call it technology, pen and paper based anything at all. Everything I have is in a laptop or in a cell phone. I actually conduct business from that position. So what I'm showing them is that they can actually conduct the information side of their business using these proper tools, utilizing the exact tools that I am selling to them. And this way here, they get a clear picture just by watching my observation, and a trust factor in the fact that if the guy coming in here selling me or making these recommendations is using it, it must work. And that's what I want. And then I go into showing them just how to implement it for themselves and then push it out to their employees.
Okay, great. And just to remind everyone, as we're going forward, if you have questions for the gentleman about certain things, so go ahead and post it here in the chat box down below. So go ahead and post those. And there's a lot of things in there that you talked about too that really go into choosing your vendors, like with the agreements and such like that. So, and how they handle that. So, Lori, you want to go to the next slide? Okay, the procurement process. So hand in hand with, the consumption process, we wanted to talk some about the procurement process and how that has changed, how, the differences between the box software and what it does and what it helps for the end client, and what makes it easier and what you have to watch for. So I'll go with Anuj first on this one. If you want to start out and kind of hit the topics, and then we can go from there.
Yes, from my perspective, I think that is the area which probably needs to improve a lot, because there are not many tools which can offer you that benefit, right? And that's why in the larger organization, the consumption of SaaS is slow. You'll see that they are still on the legacy environment, while the smaller businesses, because they're agile, their risk scenario is low, so they tend to basically adopt this very quickly. But then it is becoming a problem for even the small businesses who are selling the software, like the service providers, because the SaaS market is growing, the options are growing. How do you manage the trial part, because you're not charging the customer? Then what date actually the real billing started? Those kind, plus the very important thing which is about the agreements and where my data is whether what protection I'm getting under the clauses, those agreements to be reviewed individually by the respective business. And that's where I believe the solution providers can add a real value, because if they are bringing on board the partners or the SaaS partners which are already following certain criteria, so you have already done the basic foundation homework for your customer. And that's where I believe will be a major shift sooner or later, where SaaS providers becomes also the service providers will add value back to the business.
Sure. Rodney?
Yeah, I agree with that. But I also add that I also, when talking to small business clients, also make them aware of the technologies for the transaction part, the procurement part, that their existing vendors and suppliers are asking them to implement or integrate into their processes. And so from this point of view, they now they now have comfort. They're comfortable in knowing that this technology, this data can be managed on with their vendors and suppliers. It can be also managed in their own environments, and then it's just a question of finding the right SaaS application that they can take advantage of, that benefits both them and the suppliers or vendors that they're working with.
The other part is that selection of the applications. That is a key component for any business, and keeping in mind not many businesses are IT savvy as such, right? Because they may be a small, medium business, may not have a huge IT behind them. That's where, again, the service provider, the managed service provider, plays a very important role. An example is very simple. The accounting package probably, or the payroll package for Australia will have a different rules and regulations versus what is there in US. So that particular product may be applicable for US market really well, but may not be for Australian market. And that's where service provider, before even putting a product onto his catalog, he will do that kind of investigation, make sure that certain criteria are met, and then offer to the end customer. And that's what is very important, because SaaS world has also removed that links which people used to build between one application to other application to make their life easy to flow of the data. Those links are now being provided by these SaaS providers most of the time. So the collection of applications together which works, talk to each other, and are also following the local land law, that's what certain criteria you put it together before you offer. And the support, exactly, support is important too.
And in addition, what Anuj just said, it makes a lot of sense, because here, for example, in accounting packages, a lot of times if it's a standalone package, a lot of people don't keep the updates, say, on sales tax changes between states. If they're selling outside their state, sales tax changes will put them in a bind when it comes to paying those sales taxes to those particular states. Whereas with a SaaS application, those updates from the state will be implemented by the SaaS provider automatically. So all they have to do is just go to a drop-down box and just pick that particular state, and have the comfortability in the fact that those sales tax rules, whatever, those rules have already been updated.
Right, exactly. And then from a solution provider perspective, whenever you're billing and collecting payments, there's a lot of confusion on how this should work in the marketplace, and especially since only 23% or so of software as a service is actually sold through any channel, let alone the IT services channel. So when you look at those vendors, or from a solution provider perspective, looking at billing and collections, the right marketplace, because you've got to have a way to track your increases in decreases, because part of the beauty of a SaaS is I can ramp licenses as I need them, I can drop licenses as I need them. So maybe talk just a little bit about that part. Rodney, you want to start?
Oh, yes. Well, nowadays, a lot of incentive programs from vendors coming out, rebates, things of that sort. And with standalone applications, it's very difficult to keep track of. I mean, you get email notices, things like that, but the bookkeeper or whoever's in charge of that standalone application may not have the time, or forget, whatever, to update their program application effectively. Whereas with SaaS model, that's done automatically. So then the actual calculations don't have to be, there's no big issue here on the rebates or any kind of incentive programs that can be implemented by the business. They can just go ahead and implement with the knowledge that the transaction calculations have been done correctly.
The other capabilities, I think, so is if you are probably a retailer having 2 or 3 different retail shops in maybe 2 or 3 different cities. Now, SaaS tools provide the owner of the company sitting there what is happening live in terms of the transactions from one single pane of window. So that never used to happen before, because the person has to wait and he cannot be there at the 3 locations at any given time. So he had to wait for the end of the day to see what is the end of the day sales are. But with the tools, the 3 POS systems are connected to this one SaaS provider. He can log in and see exactly what's happening at the other end of the business.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, let's move on. So new faces making decisions. So I think a big part of it, and you've seen it in your own companies, then, you know, the new faces making decisions. You know, there's a lot more people, as you had alluded to earlier, Anuj, that are making the decisions when it comes to purchasing software. So IT, and really IT is no longer really a blocker or a final decision maker, you know, because line of business managers are making those decisions. You have mid to low level positions that buy software, or hey, the world of shadow IT. You know, one person starts using something to help their day, the next thing you know, it's all over the organization, and IT's like, what's this? And they're kind of pushed into those things. So they're not really the blocker on those. Anuj, you want to talk?
So for me, that is a very key point, because especially for the larger and medium organizations where you have a structured IT, and sometimes that could stop the agility within the business in terms of adoption of new things, or even promotions and things like that, because in time that IT could not provide the right tools, and hence they could not provide what they wanted, the business wanted to do. And that has been always a key fight between the business and the IT in a larger organizations. And this change coming into the market has actually given an option to the business to go and say, hey, if you don't give me something, I will go and grab something myself. And that's what one of my CIOs said, see, now you're running a shop within a shop. So if you will not give the business what they want, then what they will do, they will go and buy it from outside shop. And he said, if my shop earnings goes down, then I'm going to kill you. So that's what it has become now, IT. So the IT is no more controlling the gates of what goes in and outside the organization in terms of the software, because the business will go outside and grab it. So hence, decision was always made by business, but previously business didn't have options. Now, because of the SaaS world, they have options, and they don't have to rely, and they know that something works, because the SaaS provider is behind there committing the SLAs, committing that the data is secure, committing in terms of what services they are providing and the connections they are providing. So that has given business an option. So the IT has to be a bit more agile and start working on how they can bring these tools in than actually fighting against them.
So Rodney, knowing this information, and I know you agree a lot to this, and you can chime in on some of the things that you think too, but knowing this is happening in the marketplace, and is happening in the world of SaaS, how has that affected your company and how you go to market? And whenever you're, you know, looking to get into a company and talk to someone to buy the software, I mean, where do you start? How has it affected your business and your sales and marketing?
Well, first thing I look at is I speak to the necessary personnel in the company, the owners, at the top level people, that the software as service and all these other functions and technologies are no longer, it's a hybrid of CapEx versus OpEx. Okay, CapEx meaning maybe the hardware side of the business, and OpEx is the software information side. The OpEx now will bring in other people into the conversation. At one time, it used to be all IT handling. However, when you switch over to OpEx, now the accountants, the owners, everyone else gets into the mix in terms of decision making. All right, and for example, the report that you had, the bullet point here you had on the world of shadow IT, with the OpEx component, or my conversation with the owners in terms of moving to OpEx. Now what they do is they see the actual software as an integral part of how the business functions, not as a capital investment that, you know, just goes away or whatever, it loses value and things like that. So they actually keep it up as a very a very high level within the company itself, and all the other decision makers are involved in this process. And what that now moves into is more information workflow and processing. The processing of the information in such a way that the costs involved with the use of the application itself is managed on a regular basis, the cost of the users who are using these applications on a regular basis. So in this way here, the actual applications that are used for the business are used for the business, or the value of the cost of the usage drops because the value of it now is understood and being implemented on a day-by-day basis.
Okay, great. And yourself, so Anuj, as you've sold a lot of software as well and a lot of services in the past, I know managed services, when you're selling managed services, it's very similar into the target the business owner or the CFO and those types of folks. But, you know, how has that changed with software as a service and compared to selling other types of services? How has this all affected your business?
Well, the software as a service, the OpEx model definitely works great. So it's easier for the decision making for the businesses, definitely. Keeping in mind, as Rodney mentioned, that the OpEx is generally managed by the respective business head, cost center. And also it releases the capital investment within the business to actually pump that capital towards growing their business. Right? And it was a very common saying in my past company that, hey, if we're going to be investing this much of billions of dollars for this software, do you know how many baked bean cans we have to sell to actually get that money out? So that was always a challenge that, okay, do we invest? And that's why you must have seen that in the end user computing area, not many businesses had not, especially the large ones, had not invested into the IT, because that was the backside of the world, which nobody saw that. If you look at 10 years back, 15 years back, when we used to go to work, we used to get the latest and greatest technology at work. And today, things have, paradigm has changed. You go to work, you may still have an old kind of technology, but at home or in your pocket, you may have the latest and greatest phone. So that has impacted the efficiency within the business of all the employees, which was never catered or measured because it was considered the person is still doing the job. But now they have realized that, yes, it is impacting, but how do I make my employee more efficient? Now, previously, if I have to give a flexibility as a medium business or small business to work from home or work from anywhere, I had to go and invest, that is VPN, security, and all that stuff. That costed quite a lot of money, and some were reluctant to do that because they didn't see the value in it. But with the SaaS model coming on play, they can extend that kind of flexibility within their work environment to the employees without investing any huge amount, as well as keeping the security also intact. And that is quite a key change, behavior change, which has brought in by SaaS.
Great. Rodney, any last thoughts? Rodney, you still there? It seems like you might have lost your audio there. So while Rodney's working to get his audio back, we can't hear him. Let's go on to the next question. So at the end of the day, when we look at the topics we've discussed, what is the value of the channel when it comes to the SaaS marketplace? I hear a lot of questions about this, and what's my role if the SaaS vendor is doing the support in the backside and they're doing all this other type of work for the client themselves, and what is my role? Am I giving up all those services, or where do I get into play here? And as you see, we got a few things on here, but I'm just going to, Anuj, if you just want to start out with the topic while we're waiting on Rodney, that'd be great.
Yeah, so for me, is the way I generally put it to everybody, three things are very key and important. One is the awareness or education. So basically, you make awareness of the SaaS products, how they can add value, right? That's one. Second is the procurement. How can they procure the product, right? Because procurement at the moment is for an individual versus a business is always happening different. But in the SaaS world, it has been all been brought together as one procurement methodology. Now, that's where the requirement of a product like SaaSMAX becomes more critical, because people can change their processes individually easily, but for the businesses to change their processes is a wider impact. because let's say for your invoice is paid every month, while versus paying the SaaS provider as and when the person goes and selects a product. So that is still not changing yet. And when somebody is using a tool like SaaSMAX, they can actually provide that similar experience to the end customer of billing in a monthly cycle sort of scenario and still making it easier for the business to procure. That's one. And then the role of a trusted advisor, which we talked about, is yes, there are certain key components which are to be looked upon before you can even put a product on your catalog. So you need to educate them that what are the key components, what you have taken into consideration before you are recommending a product, because they have not been buying, the businesses have not been buying the product with all those considerations in mind previously, because that new SaaS world has given extra benefits, extra facilities which can bring efficiencies in the business, but they don't know. So these are the things which I generally go and talk to them, is making them aware. Then I tell them what is our product selection criteria, which gives them a very clear visibility, okay, the person has done the homework. And then also telling that we are not breaking the procurement process, because we have the tools which will still give you that agility and ability to bring any new product on board and keeping the billing cycle intact. So that is, because too much of change can be disastrous also for the organization.
Sure, but then so when you look at the value, I mean, you were a managed service provider. I don't think we got Rodney's audio back yet, but you were a managed service provider, and we all know, I talked to a lot of managed service providers, and the idea of managed services was to become the CTO, the CIO, the real trusted advisor of the company. And as you and I talked, I really feel when you look at your company and how you interact with your clients now, you've truly achieved that role, because you are doing the product selection for things outside of just the IT, and they're trusting. Yeah, they're doing all that, right?
So that is changing itself within the IT organization also, as I said. Now that IT organization, a large one, their IT is becoming like a managed service provider, right? And that's what they're doing, because the products are now, even the companies like SAP are going on to cloud. So if they are not, the IT is not managing the hardware, the data centers and all that stuff, then what are they doing? They are just making sure that product sets which come on board should be in line with the company's policies, and it should talk to the other products, things like that. And that's the role now the managed service provider has taken on board, because he takes care of that the data is intact, the rules and regulations are met, and the applications, they talk to each other, as well as the billing. So I believe in coming few years, you will see that it will be managed service providers will become mostly the RT of the organization, and the account managers, so whatever you want to call them, will be basically the CIOs of those companies.
Sure. But I think, the thing too is, especially in the small to medium businesses, when you look at them, where a lot of us play today, then anyone can go out and buy a software as a service. I can go buy, 3 or 4 different packages and plan to use them together and put them together, but I still don't have that expertise, and it's not really, I'm wasting my time trying to integrate a CRM.
So simple. For the small and medium businesses, they never had the SLAs of a large organization. Simple. Right? So if I'm working in a large organization, my email goes down, my point of sale goes down, there's a serve button raised, and there will be hundreds of people actually jumping on board to get the store up and running. But a small business owner never had that benefit. And I tell them, now you have that benefit because you have that backing of the SaaS provider who will ensure that your product is up and running. If your hardware fails, you are not dependent on hardware. You can pick up another tablet or a phone, and you can start using that as a point of sale. So that is a radical change in terms of the services consumption levels. Because previously, if my point of sale breaks, I have to wait for somebody to come and fix it before I can start using it. And during that whole day, the transaction was a nightmare. But now, with the SaaS product, I can, if my point of sale breaks, I can pick up another tablet or PC, tablet especially, and I can start using, because my product is sitting in the cloud. I can access that product from any device.
Exactly. And Rodney, I think your audio is back.
Yes, I got back. I lost it for a second. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back now.
Yeah, you're out in the woods. Yeah, do you want to just real quickly jump in on this topic, and then we'll need to move on?
Oh yes. Well, one of the things that I've been evangelizing since the whole SaaS program started was the fact of being a trusted advisor. One of the things that, from a business point of view, of having to be what is being understood now, that this is an industry within itself, and just like any other profession, the value has to be built over time with the people, the customers, and on. So in this case here, the trusted advisor role will greatly enhance the progression of the SaaS model, because this way here, with all the different apps that are available and all the different workflows that are available out here now, all the different business models available now, the trusted advisor, with the utilization model, can make those recommendations to the customer so that they make the right decisions to get that return on investment or lower their operational cost of usage.
The only thing I'll add here is that to all the service providers to be very much cautious and make sure that they go through the agreements when they're bringing somebody on board regarding the support perspective. Because previously we used to sell the software, job done, license sold, and then the technology provider generally, or the company, because big organization, they will have their own support, right? But now, because these SaaS providers are across the globe, you need to ensure that you have the right service support structure. The timings of that support structure is gelling along with your time zones. So that is something which I make sure, because being in Australia, and if I have my SaaS providers in US, whether he's providing the support during the business hours of Australia or not. So I do make sure to add that in as one of my key points when I bring the SaaS provider on board.
Excellent.
So don't ignore that.
Sure.
I
agree with that.
Laura, you want to move on? Okay, so let's get into some tool sets. What really makes when you're selling SaaS, what really makes people successful? And what I've seen over the last 5 years or so is what really makes people successful is when you're not selling just a single app. You still want to sell a business solution to the client that solves their issues, and that usually takes multiple applications. No one application will always do everything, and you want to look at, and the tool sets to be successful are things like maybe around IT management, somewhat like what the managed service provider says today, but you can really extend that to business automation, to sales, marketing, financial. You can also do that within certain verticals like retail, legal, healthcare, you name it. You can, like retail, you can put together a POS system and a CRM system, and the billing and the gateways and all that stuff you can put together nowadays. You can provide them a cohesive way of managing their problems. So when we look at this, we talk about tool sets. Rodney, what's your thought on the tool sets and the stacks of applications? Because I know that you do this and you're successful at it.
Well, what I like to emphasize to the other business, for the most part, is they want to build a virtual business to match the actual physical business. And so what we start off with is, like anything else, start with the foundation. Now the foundation would be the IT portion. So we look at the tools that would function on the foundation, and then next would be looking at the combination of sales, marketing, business automation. But these things may not be implemented all at the same time. But I like to open up that conversation. And one of the things I stress, based on the fact that we're on building a business, you build a business just like the old expression, Rome was not built in a day. Neither will the virtual IT infrastructure. And there has to be discussions on how to make convert old technologies to new ones. Changes in the in the workflow, changes in the business process, changes in the employees and their skill sets. And all these things have to be taken into consideration, even with a smaller business now, because as the technology increases, a lot of these people, businesses are finding out that they're no longer limited to what they were prior to the implementation of these new SaaS models. Their markets now can be greatly expanded or not, downsized or repositioned or reconfigured. All kinds of concepts can be implemented now with these particular technologies that are being implemented. So looking at the business as a whole, starting off with the foundation, building up from bottom up, utilizing this thought process, utilizing this SaaS model, they can plug and play the necessary tools they need to run their business in a fluid, virtual, and not so virtual manner based on what their business model is. They can do both. They can have it hybrid. So maybe there's certain applications that they critically have to have in-house that critically is the core of their business. They have to have that hands-on, whereas other portions of their model can be outsourced, things of that sort. So we have this kind of discussions, and with the number of tools, the plethora of tools right now, and going back to the previous slide there, as a trust advisor, those recommendations of what SaaS applications can be used to help them in their business is where the tool sets, whether they be combined or standalones, can play a crucial part in how they can implement the SaaS model moving forward.
So, adding to that, Rodney, I believe IT is only an enabler for a business, right, to achieve the strategic goals of any business, right? And with the SaaS world, it is becoming a true model or the true statement here, right, where IT is nothing else but an enabler. So here, when we talk about the trusted advisor in the previous slide, the role of the managed service provider becomes more critical, because of what he is doing is he's actually understanding the strategic goals of an organization, big or small, doesn't matter, whether they want to grow globally or whether they be interstate. He takes that strategic direction of that business and then suggests that, okay, this is the best suited bundle or the best suited products. And till the time managed service provider works on that kind of mindset, he will be quite successful wherever he starts from, whether scratch or a new business. But because he should not be that IT is the one who's dictating. Now IT is mainly only an enabler. That's it. Because at the end of the day, the true business value is driven by the business direction, strategic direction itself.
Right, and what we see, what I see too in the SaaS world, a lot of SaaS is being driven first from, your sales and marketing and business automation type of pieces, where a lot of companies like managed service providers don't necessarily play today, where SaaS gives them that ability to go out and build a stack and collect that business. I mean, if you're not adjusting to the market of SaaS and you're just sticking straight to your managed service instead of turning the other sales and marketing or business automation, all these other pieces into a stack and a tool set for you to provide to the client of, and as you said, as you both said, as being a trusted advisor, where you've vetted those apps, they work together, you can help them integrate them, you can add service on top of it if you need to, for the small business client, but you can actually
pick up your niche, pick up your niche of the vertical and try to, add more value to that particular niche itself. So when I started, I said, okay, this is the area of technology I'm going to focus on. And how do I start building the stack on the top of it to give my customers more value? So if they are on Google World, okay, how can I keep building, keeping in mind that there were a lot of processes which were done manually before, account receivable, account payable. If you have already provided them an accounting package, which is a SaaS product, can I have something else to actually add value and make that also automated? Now, previously, these were not an option before, right? Now there is an option. So one has to be a bit more vigilant also now. So I keep reading every day about what's coming in the market, what is happening there in the market, and how can I add value to my customers' business.
Yeah, and I think now in the SaaS world and what we hear, and Rodney, I'll come to you in just a second.
Sure.
What I hear too is verticalization is more important than ever. Whereas, especially in small businesses and even into the medium businesses, as a managed service provider, you could kind of go, be a generalist when it comes to verticals. But when it comes to the SaaS world, I've seen the companies that really get successful. One, they stack their applications and have them ready to go, and they focus vertically. Rodney, is that what you see as well in your business?
Yeah, sure. I guess that's exactly what I see. And for the most part, the ability to stack and plug and play certain applications is crucial to the development of the IT SaaS infrastructure this way, because now the customer now knows that, for one, they can actually plug a certain application in, and then if they have to adjust that application, they can adjust it according to their business process. They're not held, for example, licensing on software, they're not held to licensing demands as they once were, utilizing the SaaS application. They can plug and unplug as needed. And this, with all the different tools available to them now, they have the fluidity in their business model or in the business process, where if they want to take on another aspect of the business, they have the necessary tools that can be utilized to make that happen. I'll use an example. Say if a company bought another company, if they're within the same market, okay, there may be little specialties within that market that the SaaS app can fill. Whether it can fill it in the retail side, whether it can fill it in the financial side, whether it can fill it in the business automation side, sales marketing, or even the IT side. The ability of the SaaS model to plug and play is crucial to the development of the industry, brings value to the customer, and also brings value to the provider, because as a solution provider, we have now the tools to walk into, yes, we can take care of this piece of your business, and not have that affect other aspects of their business if they have other technologies in place to take care of that. But this can plug in and unplug as needed.
Excellent. Yeah, we're going to have to, but Toolsets, it's really, the different stacks and bundles that you build is really how you build your SaaS managed services in the marketplace today. So for all of you looking at, different ways of doing this, really, remember to verticalize, remember to get a good stack of applications that you vetted. And, I don't have a shameless self-promotion piece here, but I know both of you are members of SaaSMAX, and you both have strong feelings about the role of marketplaces in the market as well. For our resellers and for our reseller community, we're just about ready to launch our billing system, so that you can select apps right from the marketplace and start billing them directly from the marketplace.
I can't wait.
What's that? Yeah, you can't wait. Because
I've been asking this from the beginning.
I know. So, and with that, we'll be launching our web stores that all of our solution providers can actually launch a web store that's live on the web. It's white labeled as them. They can place whatever apps they want to sell from the market, from our marketplace, on there, or even add their own services to it. And then we're helping out with SEO and blogs and other things to help really drive business to those websites. So, what do you both feel about, and we're giving you the tools to track all your different vendors and the sales from your vendors, and the commissions that you're owed, and who needs to be billed, and or what you need to pay if you're doing white labeled. What's your thoughts on the marketplaces, Anuj?
Well, obviously, that's the future. That's how the interaction between any SaaS company who is manufacturing or the owner of the SaaS product versus the consumer, in terms of the enterprises or the businesses are concerned, that will be the window of transaction. That's a simple statement, but a very strong one. But because every business will be eventually transacting through those kind of marketplaces, they're then actually buying on the individual SaaS website.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and we do as a company, we do a lot of vetting of the software, the SaaS that's in our marketplace. So we make sure they have a good channel program, or we build.
That's the value add. That's the value add you have provided to the MSP also, as well as to eventually to the consumer or the customer at the end, that you have done those vetting, you have taken care of that respective ticks which should be there before putting a product there. And then your managed service providers knows that, okay, those particular products will work. We have done the necessary, the legal aspects and agreements of that. So,
well, in my case,
we're playing music.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I take the insurance approach, and let me clarify that. Insurance agent versus insurance broker. I take that approach because in the past, if you're an insurance agent, you can only supply or only sell that particular solution whom you work for, whereas a broker now represents the customer, and they can go out and find that necessary solution to take care of their customers' issues or problems or solutions. This way here, with this kind of marketplace in place, I now can become that cloud broker as opposed to that cloud agent. So I can go to a customer and have a conversation with this. Yes, I can provide a certain solution for you. What is the issues that you're looking to solve? And then I have a place to go where I can actually pull one of the necessary tools to provide that customer what their needs are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Rodney, you're on the spot, and I give similar example to my customers also that, with being the MSP, this is the value add you, because once you go buying insurance, you can go and do a research that there will be thousands. You can't go to the disclosure statements of everything. You have to then put a trust on somebody before you buy that respective policy. So the MSP provides that layer of that, yes, I have vetted things for you. I've done the necessary agreements for you so that you are protected. Here is the policy.
Exactly.
That's correct. And as an add-on here, there may be two competitors in the same market with providing the same solution. Whereas with the marketplace, as a cloud broker, then I can go in knowing the business process of the customer. I can go in and say this particular solution is better for you than that particular solution, and I can define why that solution is better and implement that accordingly. That's correct.
Exactly. So we're running down on time here. If you have any questions, please type them in. Get those in. We're going to go on to the last slide or so here, and we'll be able to finish on time here. So I just want to make everyone aware that, as an organization, we are vetting the vendors, and we're also helping our solution providers understand how to stack and to bring different applications together into a stack of different applications that you can take readily to market. So, we're working with some of the vendors to, that have complementary products to bring them together, and you'll see us launching more bundles. We're doing the ones on cybersecurity. Our channel roadshow in Boston. It's on June 28th. It starts from 3 to 9. So if you happen to be in Boston that time, or you got colleagues up there, please join us. We have WebRoot and CryptZone coming, and we have some other vendors too. I think we'll probably end up with some other ones like SSH and some other really nice security vendors coming. And we're having a distillery, so some of the spirits are on us. So if you get a chance, stop out or be watching for them. We'll be doing, we're looking at doing Chicago and maybe Dallas and Atlanta yet this year.
Is the flight ticket included in that?
The flight's not included, and I'm sorry. Maybe by the next one, not this one, I can do a live video broadcast so that you can join. That would be great.
Not 6 a.m. So that was my alarm, basically. When you said about the music, that was my alarm going off.
Oh, okay, excellent. So, and we're bringing a lot of these different shows to you, and we're bringing a lot of different educational opportunities to our channel. So continue to watch out for our stuff coming. And next slide. Chance for questions. If you have any questions, type them in. If not, we can go to the next slide here as well. I'm Clint Gatewood, and there is actually one right after this. Signing up with SaaSMAX is free. You register at SaaSMAX in the upper right-hand corner. So for our solution providers, there's no charge fee to jump in and start looking at the apps and talking to us. We also work as your concierge. So as you're trying to be that trusted advisor to your client, we're working hard to be that trusted advisor to you. So when you're looking for different applications, or you need a different type of product, you can call our partner success team, and we'll work with you to find an app, even if it's not in SaaSMAX. We want to do the best job for you as we can. So we'll help you find those vendors that you can select. And if they're in SaaSMAX, we've vetted them already, and we're getting tighter and tighter on our vetting as we move forward. So that's pretty much the show. No questions. Any last thoughts that you have? You can go back up. Any last comments from Rodney or Anuj before we drop off?
Well, I'll probably only add one more thing, that I've been looking for a right partner for past 2 years in this space. And the reason of my selection of SaaSMAX was that good thing was that they included international boundaries in their selection criteria. So I was surprised whenever I asked a product which is more applicable to the Australian market, SaaSMAX had the answer to that. So that means the foundation of the organization is correct, so you can trust them. So it's a 2 years of research of mine, basically. So I'm sharing that secret to you guys.
Thank you, Rodney. Last thoughts, and then we'll have to close.
Sure. Well, I thanks for having me on today. One of the things I wanted to stress to all the attendees is that the market is created by small and medium-sized. The big corporations are a portion of the market, but most of the people that do work in both Australia and America are all the small and medium-sized businesses. And to all the providers out here, it's to have a SaaS model in place, to be able to serve your customers more than any other period in time now, gives the opportunity for a small developer who may have started off with client server or start off with maybe doing phones or whatever like that, to move on up now and be a true provider of content information to the small business space, to make the market more fluid and increase bring about new business opportunities for all of us. So I just wanted to pick on that. Right.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you, Rodney. Laura, thank you very much for moderating and being the host of the event today. And thank all of you from wherever you're at in the world for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.